questions in this world, like why did the Earth rotate but we stand still? Why do I don't know? I didn't think of anything for this, but we're gonna figure out one of the greatest mysteries known to mankind. Why do bees die after stinging? And I learned that they die after stinging from the bee movie, and I do not know why. So seems kind of ineffective.
Honeybees are adorable.
No,
They're fuzzy,
no,
colorful, and make delicious honey. They
honey is
also
mid.
coordinate attacks on bears and other mammals for the greater good of the colony. How did
I ain't gonna lie. If a bear cannot beat a bunch of bees, I can use one hand and snap a bear's neck. Oh
an
God.
animal so cute become such a badass? What are the
Is she
secrets of the
smoking
honeybee
fentanyl?
stinger? And why do they die after stinging? This is the
Oh,
science of the venom harpoon, the honeybee stinger.
why are you letting yourself get sting? Jesus.
Hi, I'm Danielle Dufault, and
Oh,
you're
makes
watching
sense.
Animal Logic. Honeybees have one of the most hardcore defense mechanisms on Earth. When they sting,
Bro, they're not even top three. They don't have fangs, they don't have poison. They just give you a little bump for 4 days max. Let's take the stinger out your mouth, girl.
a large animal, like a mammal, their stingers get lodged in their foe's skin, and the bee dies. This is common knowledge, but it isn't common behavior. Most venomous insects can easily inject their venom without dying. Wasps, ants, and even other bees sting and live to fly another day. So, why are the cutest insects the most dramatic ones? Why do they need to die for the greater good? And how can losing brave warriors possibly benefit the colony? These are surprisingly complicated questions, so let's dig in. The bee stinger is basically a venom injecting harpoon. If you zoom in, you'll see two barbed blades and a stabilizing structure to hold
That's
them in
four.
place. The blades are controlled by muscles in the bee's abdomen and are thrust one at a time in an alternating pattern. As the blades dig into the skin, the backward-facing barbs catch into the fleshy parts, helping them dig deeper and deeper. The stabilizing structure is connected to the venom reservoir and deposits it as the blades penetrate the skin. Okay, that's terrifying, but it's not too different from other stingers, or even the proboscis of a mosquito. It's a knife connected to a stiff hose, kind of like a bayonet. The only difference, which is a huge difference, is the backwards facing barbs. The barbs, much like the barbs of the spines of a cactus, are designed to make the stabbing easy, but the removal almost impossible. It's a bit counterintuitive, but a barbed stinger goes in easier than a smooth stinger. The barbs help concentrate the force at the tip of the spear, so the
Yeah, I know he plays with bees, bro. Why are your hands like this? Bro, you don't need some pretty, like any other man, you need some pretty fingers. You know what I'm saying? The pretty fingers. Even if you're not going to nail tech, one of these. Wash your hands. How do you have dirt inside your fingernail? Yep, you play with bees for sure.
tiny honeybee needs less force to pierce the tough skin of a bear or a human. But, because there's always a but in nature, the barbs make it
Uh,
much harder to remove the stinger. The bee would need about 10 times more force to take it out than it needed to put it in.
I know we're supposed to save the honeybees and blah 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 blah. But if nature is telling them that they shouldn't defend themselves from getting swatted out the air, getting attacked by bears and things of that nature, we are we really sure that we need bees, honeybees specifically, because they evolved to essentially, if they defend themselves, they die. So I don't know.
And quite simply, She ain't that strong. So instead of getting stuck forever and then quickly getting squashed
Why are
by
you
the
letting this
mammal,
happen to
the
you?
bee flies away, and the stinger gets ripped out of its body. The venom sac stays attached and continues to pump venom after the bee has escaped. This is
Jesus.
called sting autotomy, and it's an amazing way to inject the maximum amount of venom and cause the maximum amount of pain. The ripping off of the stinger also releases alarm pheromones, so at the same time as the mammal is being injected with ouch juice, chemicals are in the air to tell the other bees to do the same. This is how you end up with one of those classic My Girl situations. Unfortunately, it isn't a clean break. Along with the venom sac, parts of the abdomen, digestive system,
Damn.
and muscles of the honeybee are ripped off, which inevitably causes it to die. But sometimes it takes up to 5 days for the bee to finally pass away. And during this time,
So you're telling me the bees have and bee, so when a bee stings, they have 5 business days to get their affairs in order. And why are you stinging if you're going to die anyway? Interesting.
they can still chase the mammal or even bite it. Yup, bees can bite apparently.
Why?
We don't even know how much it hurts. We don't even know for sure if bees feel pain at all the way that we understand it, but that's a question for another episode. What we do know is that bees are very motivated to protect their colonies and will make the mammals suffer for a couple of hours and then be very itchy for a few more days. The idea of max pain is to discourage the mammal from ever getting close to bees again. But this is unlikely to happen because
No, I ain't gonna lie. If I get stung by a bee, ending them all. I'm gonna find I'm gonna find their nest because, like, I'm not gonna let this happen to me again. Because what I'm hearing is, as soon as you sting me, you are sending a message to the other bees to come sting me. So I have to attack first to make sure that I don't get stung anymore and only have to put toothpaste on one part of my body.
honey is undeniably delicious. You've probably noticed that I've been calling the bee's mortal enemy a mammal. This is because these gut-wrenching stings are only lethal when they're on mammals or other large animals with elastic flesh and skin. Our inherent squishiness is what traps the stinger in our skin. When
I'm
bees
not
fight
squishy,
other
I'm hard.
insects with hard exoskeletons, the stinger doesn't get stuck. That means they can sting multiple times, just like wasps and ants.
Who is letting
But
this
still,
happen to them? Oh my
sacrificing
god.
themselves by tearing their guts apart is a pretty extreme behavior. Why would a honeybee choose to do this? And how could this have evolved? Female workers, which are the only members of the colony who can sting, already don't get to reproduce. Only their mom, the queen bee, gets to reproduce. Their job is to make sure their mom has as many babies as possible. And if it means dying to protect their mom and their siblings, that's a sacrifice they instinctively make. Colonies have thousands of honeybees. Losing a few workers to scare off an existential threat is more than worth it. Speaking of their mom, the queen bee has a similar stinger structure to the worker bees, except she uses it to lay her eggs. Their ancestors used those hoses exclusively for reproduction, but over time, some species adapted to also use them as venomous hypodermic needles. Queens also have a stinger.
Okay, boom. Question. How does one evolve into having poison? Because that doesn't seem like does the blood get turned into poison, or is it again like a Pokemon situation of where how a Charmeleon can turn into a Charizard and turn into a flying type, like or a Frogadier can turn into a Greninja and become a dark type. You feel me? Like, do it just happen because vibes.
But it's smaller, less barbed, and used mostly to fight other queens. Honeybees are not the only social insects that sacrifice themselves for the horde. Camponotus ants, also known as exploding ants, can
Oh yeah, I've
crack
heard
open
these.
their exoskeletons and release sticky chemicals to immobilize predators and rival ants. Globigermes termites also do the same thing to fight off ants. So really, it's not that strange for insects to sacrifice themselves. But some others are perfectly happy stinging you over and over again. This is the case with the most annoying insect of the summer, the yellow jacket wasp. Yellow jackets are everywhere these days. They have found in humans a really consistent source of food. They love
Are these the poisonous ones? Oh yeah, we need to pack them up too.
sugary foods to get energy for themselves, and protein-heavy snacks to bring back to the colony to feed the larvae. If you try to fight them off, you'll get quickly stung, and the wasp will fly away to continue looking for food elsewhere. They're the worst. The reason they don't die is simply because their stingers are smooth. This means the stinger doesn't get stuck, so it can be used multiple times. The trade-off is that each sting injects less venom compared to a honeybee sting.
Doesn't
So
matter.
why did
I'm
they
trying
go
to.
that
I don't want to
way?
get stung.
There are two major differences. First of all, honeybee predators are usually very large, like bears, who try to destroy the colony and eat all the honey. They
Died.
don't give a bother if the whole colony collapses after that. So the bees need to send a very strong message and provide the most painful sting they can muster in their little body. Wasp predators are usually smaller. Birds, small mammals, and other insects might try to break into the colony to eat the nutritious larvae. They get attacked a lot. So being able to fight multiple times is more valuable.
I ain't gonna lie, if I'm a bird or a dragonfly, I'm not losing to a bee. I'm walking there. I'm walking in there dolo. Bruh, they got the weakest stinger. I'm walking in there dolo. Boo. Give me that food. Man, I wish it would be
Causing a
with
lot of
me on a
damage, but
dragonfly.
just once. But secondly, and probably most importantly, wasps hunt. Adult yellow jackets survive mostly on a diet of
Jesus.
sugar, but the larvae need a lot of protein and other nutrients to grow and reach metamorphosis. So the adults hunt small insects and other invertebrates to bring back to the colony to feed the babies. The babies, in return, secrete a sugar-rich goop out of their mouth, which the adults happily drink.
So you're telling me they literally reuse and reduce food? Wait a second. How's the baby feeding? Oh, damn. Nature's weird. Why is the baby feeding
Drink
the
up.
adult?
Yeah, cool. That's nice. I guess. Disgusting, but nice. The babies pull their own weight since they're just a few days old. They will one day grow to ruin our picnics and steal our food to exchange it for sweet baby goop. So there you have it. The combination of having to fight off massive predators and inject huge
Okay, another question. How come bears haven't if bears always try to eat honey, right? How come they haven't evolved to a point where they just can't be affected by stingers anymore? Bro, I'm really an intelligent person for real. Like,
huge amounts of venom, combined with the fact that they're vegan and don't need their stingers to hunt, has created the perfect conditions for honeybees to develop single-use defense mechanisms. It makes sense, and it's pretty cool to see how evolution solved this problem for the bees. If you want to learn more about the amazing world of bees, check out this episode we made a couple
no. So all that being said, looks like nature wants bees to die too. So stop trying to save the bees, and the bee movie was right.